Hey guys, how's it going? So I thought today I would take a break from all of the instructional stuff and we'd just do something for fun here. Now, about a month ago, we did some old school mini love month for Mateo 661 and his channel, and General Splatten did some things, and some of you guys put up some videos too. I put up one as well and was talking about, hey, I still have boxes and boxes of stuff to show you. So I thought maybe I could make this a semi-regular type of deal where I show some of the older stuff, just so that, you know, the old men like myself can go back and kind of say, okay, this is what 40K was like back in our day. So I thought I would do that. This is the 40K compendium, and what this is a collection of articles from White Dwarf back when they were writing articles for the Rogue Trader edition of 40K. There's the old school Marnius Calgar. This was the inspiration of my Space Marine chapter. So this is Lieutenant Commander Nisk Ranthal of the Mentor Legion Space Marines, Legion 888. And so this is some fluff on him and his chapter. They're really just test pilots for things, and you can see the old school Mentors green and white pattern. You can see the owls and the owl standard, for example. So that's what I use on my Mentors. I know sometime between 3rd and 4th they decided that the insignia should be a red eagle, which I took great insult to because, you know, I was an owls player and I really enjoy the fluff behind the Mentor Legion. Understanding that fluff no longer really fit into the new 40K, I stayed with them, and that's why my chapter is made up of so many different types of armor. So I could spend a whole video just going through this book, some of the things in it. It's actually, I mean, this book I love to go through every now and then, just to remember what the old rules were like. They have rules in here for robots, squats. This is interesting. This is a conversion that they did using like deodorant and spoons and stuff like that. And that was the old school, the old spirit of 40K. Guys like John Blanche or Mike McVeigh when he came along. And this was the old spirit of the game. You know, they didn't care. They'd break open a box of Zoids and do that. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today, even though I thought I would show you that. Today we're going to talk about Eldar. Eldar was my first army, so, you know, this being the 4th edition codex, which is sadly the current codex Eldar, and I'm sure you guys know that one. You guys might have seen the 3rd edition Eldar codex, which was interesting also. Came with the, well, you could buy the Craft World Eldar, which really made the Craft Worlds play much differently as well, so that was interesting. This is where I did the meat of my Eldar play, was here, 2nd edition Eldar, and, you know, this is some Jess Goodwin art. It's just brilliant, the stuff that they did back then. And I'll show you some of these models. Now, these models I have not repainted, but they're some of the oldest models in the range, and just thought I'd take a few minutes to show you guys that. So, okay, so this model bears some really strong importance to me. If you guys must know, this model is the guy who started it all. You can see this is the old school painting style. You can see not that great, not a very good paint job on this guy. My brother Heretic of You started me on this hobby 20 years ago now by buying me this exact model. And it was incredible. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And so I painted that up, and he kept bringing me more and more models until one day I had an army. And he said, well, this is an Eldar army. And he handed me the yellow 40K compilation book, and that's where it's all started. And so, you know, even to this day, this model holds special place with me, and I carry him in my current Eldar army case, in fact. So he's still around, and I'm just, you know, really happy that I still have him, the guy who started it all. So back to Rogue Trader days. and into second edition. I really started at the end of Rogue Trader, but played a bit of that and played some second edition. So this is the second edition Eldar Farseer. This is the first Farseer I had. I want to say I played about a dozen games with him. You can see his base here is broken. He's been through some wear. And so here's the first and it's part of the second edition Farseers that I had. And then, you know, I got really fancy, or fancy, relatively speaking, for back in the day. And I took an Eldrad miniature and just did a couple of conversions on them. So I did a little shield and a banner that I made out of paper, and made my second edition, who was supposed to be the successor for that Farseer. And then, you know, as each edition changed, I went through and got a new Farseer. But I wanted to show you some of the older ones. And I'll put the first Warlock in this shot. Some other things from Rogue Trader / second edition. This is the old Rogue Trader avatar. You can see the avatar was really small. You can see his tiny little... He's got a sword, a spear instead of a sword these days. Didn't really paint the bloody hand in. But don't be fooled, these guys were horrifyingly good back in the day. You rolled their stats randomly each time before the game. Sometimes you'd end up with a not-so-good avatar. Sometimes they were amazing, because they would have things like Exarch powers and really powerful model. Some of the other things that the old school models that I used were Guardians. As you can see, I play a Ghost World, Iyanden Craft World, and I played them since the beginning and really just stuck with that. So all of my, not all of them, but my main collection of Eldar is Iyanden. So it's an old school Storm Guardian with a las pistol. Here's an old school Guardian with I want to say this was called an auto gun back in the day. Don't really quite remember what weapon that was. Then you had some of the fancier ones with the fancier helmets, shuriken catapults. So that's what my old painting used to look like. It's kind of funny, actually. Another one with some shuriken catapults. Here's a fancier one. He was part of the red squad. I kind of painted the tabards different colors so I knew which guy was a member of which squad. Then the second, and at the end of second and then towards third, they had the plastic guys. So they started coming out with plastic guardians. So this is the first set of plastic guardians, and you put the metal shuriken catapult on them. And shuriken catapults were not slouches back in the day. I mean, these things really tore units to shreds. So they were incredibly powerful. Okay, sorry about that. Had a cat kind of interrupt the video here. But anyways, I was running out of space with the Guardians and so forth. So in addition to Guardians, some of the other things from second edition, one of the nastiest things about Eldar in second edition was the D-Cannon. That's one of the older D-Cannons. And what made it so nasty is you could strap it to a Wraith Lord back then, or I forget what they were called. I can look it up in the book. But essentially they were the old school Wraith Lords. They even had miniature Wraith Guard before second edition Wraith Guard called Ghost Warriors that had little chain fists and flamers, and they had cloaking devices. So they were really, really fun, really powerful models. The D-Cannon obviously making a mess of things. Then you had, regular las cannon, and then you had the old scatter laser. And here's just a crew guy. So the grav platform weapons were around since those days. Couple other things that I wanted to show that were big features of my old Iyanden army before the fluff really came out that they got wiped out by the Tyranids, which came later in second edition. Was I used to run a lot of jet bikes, and so these were the old lead jet bikes, which were just brilliant back then. They came with the twin shuriken catapults, and really the shuriken catapults back then were just way better weapons than they ever were. From 3rd edition on, they really nerfed that weapon. But I used to use them extensively when people were crying about Eldar D-cannons and Howling Banshees being able to reduce your weapon skill to 0 on a charge. That was pretty nasty from 2nd edition. But I used to use a lot of jet bikes because I thought they were fun. I ran a Guardian heavy army, so actually, if you think about it, before the Tyranids came along, my army was kind of fluffy because it was a populous Eldar craft world. Also going to show you this lead Warwalker. This guy's been through some serious battles because the basing is even ripped off on this model. Standard loadout for the Warwalker was like scatter laser las cannon. And just for a frame of reference, here's like a modern day Warwalker. So really almost about the same size. A modern day Warwalker, a little bit bigger. But the old Warwalkers were really, really uber powerful, and really kind of hard to damage because of the force barrier around the exposed driver. Just a couple other models here. Asterman and the Phoenix Lords came out towards the end of 2nd edition, and I still have all my Phoenix Lords, but I'm still missing a couple pieces. I think I lost Malganra's backpack. And a 3rd edition. This is a 3rd edition. I'm sorry, this is a 2nd edition Wraith Lord. They weren't called Wraith Lords, they were actually called Dreadnoughts back then, but still Soulstone powered. These look almost like the 3rd edition Eldar Wraith Lords, and the reason you know that they're not, though, is the built-in weapon. This is a shuriken catapult on that Power Fist, and the lack of the shoulder mount weapon. You just kind of glued it on back then. So let's see if there's... I'm just going to look at my box really quick and just see if there's anything else that I think is kind of cool to show you. Let's see. Old school Dire Avengers, One Piece Dire Avengers. A lot of this stuff is about the same. Another crew. Here's a Warlock. Doesn't even look like he got finished being painted. But anyway, the Eldar, like I said, was my main army. Stuck with them all throughout my 40K career. Hoping, you know, even if they did come out with a codex today, I would buy the codex, but I don't know if I would play. Anyway, on that note, I think I'm going to stop this episode here. If I can ask you guys a favor, in the comments section, if you want to see an army, an older army, like orcs, or you know, if you have any questions about the Eldar, go ahead and ask me those questions about how they used to run in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer those. So that's it for this issue of you know, digging through my old bits boxes and the old lead stuff. And thanks for watching. Oh, P.S. Didn't see this guy through the video. This is an old Eldar musician. Just thought that would be funny. I'll show you guys. Alright, that's it. We'll show you some more miniatures next time.